Hey y'all, I hope everybody is doing good. I got something that I'm going to share with y'all today. One of my subscribers, his name is Jack, he used to leave in the comments, he would say certain things that kind of let me know that he had, experienced something. And so one day in the comments, I asked him, I said, if you ever want to, talk about it, just email me. I would like to hear what happened. And, I told him, I said, I don't have to share it on my channel, that I was just interested, in what happened to him. So, he did email me and, but he didn't say anything about me being able to read it. So, I didn't say anything back. I just, kind of let it go. And then after about a week, I thought, I'm just going to ask him. And, so I emailed him back and asked him if he would care if I read this. And he was like, no, so I'm going to read this for y'all. And I enjoy doing this, y'all, but it's just the accent. I'm sorry. But, anyways, I'm going to read this for y'all. It cracks me up every time I say that. And I hope y'all enjoy it. And to me, you don't have to see one to experience something, because he knows what happened to him. But anyways, I'm going to quit talking and read this for y'all. And this is what Jack wrote. Hey Pam, I greatly enjoy your channel. Hope it continues to grow for you. I was drawn to your channel because of your faith, your love for your family, and your love for our Lord Jesus. I have those same values. You invited me to tell you my story, and after thinking about it for a few days, I decided to share it with you. My name is Jack, and he gives his YouTube channel handle, but I'm going to let him in the comments, leave that up to him. And here's a couple of things that happened to me. My first encounter happened in the San Juan Mountains of Colorado in the late 90s. I was elk hunting in the high country, and Bigfoot had never crossed my mind. I used my own horses back then to get me up the mountains to hunt. I would set up in a base camp down at a lower elevation. Then I would ride my horse and bring a pack horse and spike rough camp up high where the elk were. My first night, I set up base camp on a beautiful, clear, ice-cold flowing river with an extremely steep mountainside across the river. Way too steep to hunt. I used a couple of strands of electric wire to wrap around the trees and make a makeshift corral for my horses and set up a larger size tent for my base. Darkness and cold comes very fast in the Colorado mountains in fall. After feeding my horses, then feeding myself, I turned in, zipped up my sleeping bag, and went to sleep. Around 2 a.m., I was shocked awake by the loudest roar scream I have ever heard in the wild. I sat up in my sleeping bag in shock. It roared, screamed again, and I could literally feel the vibrations in my chest. I don't use the word shock lightly, but it was appropriate. I was somewhat confused, and after a couple of seconds of gathering my senses, I grabbed a .44 Magnum pistol and a flashlight because I was sure my horses had broken out and ran off. I unzipped my tent, stepped outside with my gun and flashlight, immediately shined it towards my horses, and they were there, all bunched up together, ears pricked up, staring into the blackness across the river. I shined my light over there, but the 1990s era flashlights left a lot to be desired. I saw nothing and heard nothing. It never screamed again, nor did I hear it retreat up the mountain. The only thing I could think was whatever it was had come down off the mountain to get a drink, saw my camp, and was mad. This experience may seem insignificant, but the lung capacity and sound this thing made was not. I've heard bull elk bugle, mountain lions scream, bears growl. I've had bears in my camp when spike camping up high. Nothing on earth I know of could have made this sound. It was louder than a bull elephant, or so it seemed. I felt the rattle and vibrations of sound waves in my chest, and it momentarily stunned me, which is why I was confused. Whatever screamed at me was huge. Only later did I realize I had had a Sasquatch encounter. My second encounter happened several years later in Archer County, Texas. I was a die-hard bow hunter and tournament archer. When the kids moved out, I converted a bedroom into my own bow room. I built my own arrows and put together my own bows. I worked on everything and tuned it constantly until it was deadly. I hunted in a very isolated area of creek bottoms and farmland. Nearest town was roughly 10 miles away. I always hunted alone, walked in and out in the dark. That roar, scream I heard several years before, a distant memory. One night after hunting alone, I was walking in the dark back to my four-wheeler. From the time I climbed out of my tree stand, it would take me roughly 20 to 25 minutes to get back to my ATV. As I was walking back for no reason whatsoever, something happened that has never happened before in a lifetime of hunting. A feeling of dread came over me. I had to fight down panic to run, and that had never happened, and I mean never happened to me before. I picked up the pace. I could hear something moving behind and kind of off to the side of me. Way too big to be a hog or a deer. Again, I fought down the urge to run, but headed towards my four-wheeler at a fast walk. Later, reflecting on it, I didn't try to tell myself I was being silly or to calm down. Nothing was out there because of the feeling of dread. The dread was blanketed over me like a thick fog. I got to my four-wheeler, quickly loaded my bow, and got the heck out of there. As I was leaving, I felt like something was chasing me out of there. I've stumbled into huge hogs, had bear in my camp. None of that gave me dread. Caution, yes, but never dread. I continued to hunt, but a serious neck injury stopped my hunting for a year in 2013. I spent much of my time researching other people's experiences and coming upon conclusions of my own. I now look through a biblical lens at things, and I believe that there's way more to these creatures than a dumb ape. Infrasound, mind speak, zapping people, etc. all lean towards supernatural abilities. Anyways, that's enough of my experiences. You asked me, and I told. May God bless you and Paul and your family. As always, Jack. Well, Jack, I wanted to thank you again, for allowing me to share what happened to you. And you know as well as I do, what it was. There's only one thing out there that can do that. And I know it was terrifying. And so I thank you again. And I hope I've done a good enough job. I'm sorry, y'all. It's the accent. When I go back and listen to it, I'm like, oh my, but at least I try. So, but there's one thing that I want to say. We may not ever get any answers. I want answers and y'all want answers. But for me, I've got something out of all this, and this is y'all. I have got to meet, talk to, message, email a lot of y'all. And it means the world to me. I really do love and appreciate y'all. And so, if I never find answers, at least I got this. But anyways, I'm going to get off of here, and I want y'all to please be safe. I hope y'all have a wonderful week. I love and appreciate y'all very, very much, and I hope the good Lord blesses everyone.